In the quiet town of Rothenburg, Germany, on a frosty morning of February 3, 1976, something began that would forever be burned into the minds of the locals, and ultimately buried deep under silence. This is the story of Anna Lint, a 21-year-old theology student, who, to this day, is remembered not for her life, but for the disturbing series of events that unfolded in the last 11 months before her death. Anna was raised in a deeply religious household. Her mother, Gertrude, was a devout Catholic. Her father, Emil, a quiet man, worked in a nearby metalworks factory. They were simple people, nothing extravagant, nothing unusual. Which is what makes what happened next all the more terrifying. Anna was known to be quiet but bright. She volunteered at her local church, helped her younger siblings with homework, and never missed Mass. But everything started to change shortly after she moved into the dormitory of the University of Würzburg. Friends began noticing her skipping classes, wandering campus late at night, and sometimes whispering to herself as if responding to someone they couldn't see. At first, it was written off as stress. College was difficult, and Anna was deeply immersed in religious studies, sometimes obsessively so. But one night in April 1976, she woke up screaming. Her roommate, Elena, recalled being jolted from sleep to find Anna sitting upright in her bed, staring wide-eyed at the corner of the room, frozen, mumbling, shaking violently. When questioned later, Anna said she saw a tall black figure with no face standing over her. The school referred her to a psychiatrist, who diagnosed her with schizophrenia and prescribed antipsychotic medication. But the medication didn't help. In fact, things got worse. By May, Anna had dropped out of university and moved back in with her parents. And that's when the truly strange things began happening. She refused to sleep in her room. She claimed there were voices in the walls that wouldn't stop whispering. She would sit for hours without moving, her eyes fixed on the same corner of the kitchen, where she said a man with charred skin watched her. At night, her parents heard her pacing the hallway, muttering Latin phrases they didn't understand. Then came the scratches. Deep gashes appeared on Anna's arms, shoulders, even her neck. Her family believed she was harming herself, but the wounds were in places she couldn't easily reach. And worse, they often appeared while her hands were tied. It was her youngest sister, Lotte, who first noticed something even stranger. Sometimes, when Anna slept, she spoke in different voices. Not just tones or accents, entirely different languages. Latin, Aramaic, even Russian. None of which Anna had ever studied. Her parents began to believe this wasn't mental illness. This was something else. In June, they contacted a local priest, Father Matthias Bauer. He agreed to meet Anna. What he found was something he later described as unmistakably evil. Anna, barely weighing 90 pounds, lunged at him with the strength of a grown man. Her eyes rolled back in her head. Her voice dropped an octave. And she knew things about Father Bauer's past, things she should never have known. The priest immediately contacted his superiors, and by July, the church had approved an exorcism. But they kept it quiet. The church had learned from previous scandals. No media. No press. Just a small team, working inside the Lindt family home. The sessions began on July 17th. They were long. Violent. Disturbing. Anna would scream for hours. Her body would contort unnaturally. Sometimes, it took 4 people to restrain her. She would foam at the mouth, vomit, laugh, cry, all within minutes of each other. She stopped eating. She said the demons wouldn't allow it. Over the course of 6 months, 49 sessions were recorded. In one session, she spoke in perfect Latin for 20 straight minutes, naming saints she'd never heard of. In another, she claimed to be Legion, a name referencing a group of demons from the Bible. Her body wasted away. By December, she was unable to walk. She had to be carried from her bed to the couch. The family, desperate and isolated, refused to admit her to a hospital. They feared that modern medicine would only make things worse, or that it would silence the truth. On January 2, 1977, during a particularly quiet morning, Anna asked her mother for holy water. She took one sip, smiled, and then whispered, "It is over." She died just hours later. The autopsy listed malnutrition and dehydration as the official cause of death. She weighed only 68 pounds. The authorities were outraged. Criminal charges were filed against the priests and her parents for negligence. The trial became a media sensation across Germany. But here's the part most people don't know. During the trial, Father Bauer brought one of the tapes recorded during the 23rd session. The courtroom listened as Anna's voice shifted mid-sentence into a deep, guttural growl, one that sounded mechanical, almost inhuman. But halfway through the recording, the audio went dead. The cassette, which had worked the night before, now had a 3-minute gap of silence in the middle of the tape. Experts examined it. No explanation. Later, a fire broke out at the courthouse, destroying several key documents related to the case. And here's the part that really haunts people today. Since Anna's death, at least 5 different families who moved into the Lindt house have reported strange occurrences, objects moving on their own, whispering voices, and cold spots in the kitchen, the very spot where Anna used to stare for hours. In 2013, the house was abandoned. And now, only a "for sale" sign remains. But locals say, some nights, if you walk by that house just past midnight, you can still hear her crying. Soft. Faint. But unmistakably human. Or not.